Every story you tell begins with a promise. That promise is made before your reader has seen a single sentence of your prose. It is made by the title. Today we are going to talk about title craft and the idea that your title is the reader's first contract. This is for fiction writers and creative writing students who want their titles to do real work. By the end, you will understand why a title is a promise, how word count sends signals, which title types actually work, and why revealing your ending destroys your story. Let's begin with the obligation. Before your reader reaches your opening line, you have already told them something. The title tells the reader what kind of world they are entering. It tells them what emotional register to expect. It tells them whether the trip is worth taking. That is the first contract, and it is binding. Most writers treat the title as an afterthought. It becomes something tacked on once the manuscript is finished. That habit is exactly backwards. The title is not decoration. It is a functional craft decision. It deserves the same deliberateness you bring to your story's first line. There is an old idea, borrowed from Juliet, that a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. She was wrong about fiction. In a story, the name is never arbitrary. It is the first thing on the page doing work. So, let's look at why the title matters more than most writers think. The title is the reader's first data point. Readers make a snap judgment before they have read a word of your prose. Shelf it or not. Click it or not. Continue or not. In print, that judgment leans on the title and the cover. Online, and in contests, it often rests on the title alone. For flash fiction and short story contests, the weight is even heavier. Imagine a judge reading 100 entries in a single session. Your title gets about 1 second of attention before the first sentence. That 1 second is either earning you a fair read or costing you one. A weak title signals a writer who did not finish thinking. The inverse is also true. A strong title creates forward momentum before the story even starts. It sets the reader's internal tuning. It tells them what frequency to listen on. Now let's talk about length and the sweet spot for word count. Length is not a rule. It is a signal. Every word in a title either earns its place or dilutes the words next to it. Let's start with short titles, 1 to 3 words. This is maximum compression. A single word or a tight phrase becomes a container that the story fills with meaning. The risk is that the container looks empty until the story pours something into it. The reward is that nothing is wasted and nothing is given away too early. Think of titles like Shane, Dune, Rebecca, Beloved, Foundation, and 1984. Each one is a small container waiting to be filled. Next, medium titles, 4 to 5 words. This range gives you room to carry freight while staying elegant. It is the most reliable length for novels and long short stories. You get enough words to build a phrase with texture, but not so many that a reader can't hold them in memory. Think of To Kill a Mockingbird, The Sun Also Rises, Lord of the Flies, and All the Pretty Horses. Then we have longer titles, 6 words or more. This is high risk and high reward. It only works when multiple words are doing vivid image work at the same time, or when the title itself is a proposition or a question that generates forward pull. 6 words where 4 are filler is really a 4-word title with dead weight attached. Consider The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Here, girl and dragon are doing the lifting. Now consider Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? There, the question itself is the content. Let me give you the working principle. 3 words is usually the ceiling. You can go up to 6 if at least 2 of those words carry strong image or conceptual weight. Beyond 6 words, the title starts fighting itself. Now, let's move into the heart of this craft, the major types of titles. We will start with the cut line. A cut line is a phrase that earned its place inside the story, then gets pulled out to stand alone as the title. Here is the argument for it. The line has already proven itself. It survived the writing. It emerged from the work organically and had enough weight to be noticed. Here is the argument against it. Lines that work in context don't always survive extraction. They may lean too heavily on the surrounding prose to function as a standalone announcement. At its worst, the cut line feels like a rescue operation rather than a decision. So when does it work? It works when the line is genuinely self-contained. It works when the line creates a question or an image that doesn't need the story to prop it up. Think of For Whom the Bell Tolls, To Kill a Mockingbird, and The Catcher in the Rye. All three are borrowed or extracted lines. All three create a question or an image without requiring context. And none of them feel rescued. Now let's turn to the second type, the plot-revealing title. This title tells the reader something substantive about what happens or what the book is about. Here is the argument for it. It sets clear reader expectations. It reduces browsing friction. It is especially effective in genre fiction, where readers are shopping by content type. A reader who knows exactly what they are getting and wants it is a motivated reader. Now here is the argument against it. The worst version of this title hands the reader the ending before the story starts. When that happens, the stakes evaporate. Tension has nowhere left to build. So let me give you the distinction that matters most. Revealing the situation is not the same as revealing the resolution. Revealing what kind of story this is not the same as revealing how the story ends. Consider Money Heist. It tells you the crime. It does not tell you who wins. Consider True Grit. It tells you the protagonist's quality. It does not tell you the story. Now here is the failure mode I see most often in new writers. They choose titles like The Day She Forgave Him or How They Found Peace. The emotional resolution is already given away. The reader has nothing left to discover. Remember this. Reveal the situation, never the resolution. Let's move to the third type, the elusive or symbolic title. With this title, the meaning is not immediately apparent. It blooms as the reader goes deeper into the story. Here is the argument for it. It creates intellectual engagement before the first sentence. It is memorable precisely because it does not explain itself. Readers who get it feel the click of recognition as a reward for paying attention. Here is the argument against it. A browsing reader who does not take the risk may simply move on. The title has to pay off inside the story, or the reader feels cheated by cleverness. Now, let's look at the mechanism behind the best elusive titles. You remember them because they were strange. After you have read the story, you can't unhook the title from the experience. The two become permanently fused. Think of The Monkey's Paw, Beloved, Blood Meridian, and The House of Mirth. Let's stay with The House of Mirth for a moment. The phrase comes from Ecclesiastes. The heart of fools is in the house of mirth. The social world that Lily Bart inhabits promises pleasure and delivers destruction. A reader who catches the illusion gets a sharper, darker read from the very first word. A reader who doesn't catch it still gets a title that feels slightly wrong. And that wrongness is exactly right. Now let's look at the fourth type, the character title. This uses the protagonist's name, handle, or bestowed title as the book's name. It works by enigma. The name itself becomes the first question. The risk is the same as a single-word abstract title. The container looks empty until the story fills it. A character title earns its weight only if the name itself carries some texture or strangeness. Think of Shane. One name, maximum mystery. Who is he? What is he? The title is already a question. Think of Rebecca, a name that haunts the novel before the reader even meets the character it belongs to. Think of Tommy Blue, a proper name with a color attached, and that color does quiet, mysterious work. A character title fails when the name is generic, and the story does nothing to make it strange. A character title succeeds when the name itself does double duty, as identity and as image. Now let's look at the fifth type, the place title. This uses the named setting as the title. It works by specificity without explanation. The place implies a world without describing it. The best place titles are specific enough to feel real and strange enough to generate a question. A generic place name, like the farm or the old house, signals nothing. A named place, like Slaughterhouse 5, Two Moon Tavern, or Lytton House, implies that something specific and irreplaceable happened there. Consider Slaughterhouse 5. It is a place name that sounds mundane and industrial, and the horror lives inside that mundaneness. Consider Wuthering Heights. It is a named property whose very sound suggests wildness and unrest. So let's bring all of this together. Your title is the first contract you make with your reader. It is a promise, and it must be kept. Treat it as craft, not decoration. Choose your word count as a deliberate signal, not a random length. Compress when you can, and only stretch when every extra word earns its place. Choose your title type with intention. A cut line must stand on its own. A plot-revealing title must reveal the situation and guard the resolution. An elusive title must pay off inside the story. A character title must make the name strange. A place title must feel both real and irreplaceable. Above all, protect the reader's discovery. Never hand over the ending on the cover. The title should open a question, not answer it. Get this first contract right, and you have earned the reader's attention before your story even begins.